Greenpeace opened new offices in continental China, India, Africa and South America, and changed its line of attack. For example, in the Gulf of Guinea. This wasn't a protest to protect a threatened species. It was highlighting new fishing practices that were endangering the economic balance in the region rather than the ecological balance.
To limit the
pressure of fishing around Europe, we sent our boats to fish off the coast of Africa with cooperation agreements with Morocco and Senegal, etc. And the direct effect was that pressure on fishing increased locally, meaning that small traditional fisheries were unable to be fished anymore. So a number of traditional fishermen had to give up their job. As they had boats, but they couldn't fish anymore, they became traffickers for migrants going to the Canaries. So it all comes full circle.
Here they mass-produce jeans. It could be electronic circuits or toys. There's pollution in China since it became the world's low-cost manufacturer. There's deforestation in South America or in Africa since they became suppliers of raw materials. In addition to condemning the scandal, Greenpeace transformed itself. It integrated the understanding of economic systems into its search for solutions. Symbolic of this evolution was the choice of the new executive director.
Hello, my name is Kumi Naidu. I'm from South Africa. Part of the problem the world faces at the moment is that we do not respond to global challenges in an interconnected way. You can't talk about environmental justice if you don't talk about economic justice, because environmental justice is impacted by the kind of economic practice that there is in the economy.
For example, in South America, rainforests and other natural landscapes are destroyed every day to make room for genetically engineered monocultures and pasture. At the same time, the genetic engineering lobby claims genetically engineered crops can help to reduce world hunger. Genetic engineering is not the answer.
The genetic engineering campaign allowed us to start to position ourselves in a slightly broader arena where we said, it's the agricultural model that must be looked at. Genetic engineering isn't just a French question. It's a question of food sovereignty in a number of different countries in the world.
Ministry of Rice. Take this ingenious invention that Jean is carefully preparing. Looks like normal rice, you're thinking. But in fact, it's genetically modified rice. Oh, by its official name...
The new, mostly invisible threats laid down a real challenge to Greenpeace, which needed to reach a more fickle audience that was used to the internet.
Fire! Who makes the weed killer? Fire! Let's keep this in the family. It's so innovative and new, you'll be the first in the EU to test it.
How do we take those same things that we did in the era of television and recreate them in a way that works in social media? And looking at these things and going, all right, now how do we make a mind bomb out of this?
You'll have heard about climate change.
The new means of communication were a formidable tool in refining the strategy. To increase pressure on the industrial sector by choosing a high-profile company.
Greenpeace is an organisation with limited resources, but the organisations we attack have unlimited resources. Obviously, we can't attack every company at the same time. So one of our strategies is the carrot and stick approach, where we first ask companies what their position is, and, depending on the answers we receive, we identify one, or sometimes two, against which we deploy our means of attack.
The impact of this campaign against Nestlé's use of palm oil, which encourages deforestation, was astonishing. It was viewed 1.5 million times in 2 months on the internet and forced Nestlé to stop using palm oil.
You then call the next one on the list, and that industry, and he'll pick up the phone straight away and say, let's meet up. He's not going to want to go through the same confrontational phase unless he's completely stupid, and generally they're not completely stupid. It doesn't always work quite that well, but that's what an organisation like Greenpeace is seeking to do with these games of dominoes. You want to make the first one fall so that the rest will follow.
Facebook lives in a big box full of computers. Facebook in the box eats a lot of special food called electricity. But silly Mark Zuckerberg chose dirty old code.
The same strategy was used against Facebook, along with great advertising, on the very ground that Greenpeace wanted to occupy, that of the social networks.
We have to actually think about new creative ways to intensify our pressure, to ensure that they become more responsive, respond with the urgency that is needed. The other challenge that we have is that the global media environment within which we operate has become one which actually promotes a particular kind of culture, a culture of overconsumption, a culture of violence. And when we have all of those things stacked against us, as activists, we are called upon to be much more creative, much more innovative, to rise above that dominant message.
There's two things that make it more difficult today. People's media attention has been fragmented by the number of sources for media that they can get, and the complexity of, in particular, the issue of climate change, where it's such a slow force.
The challenge we have with climate change is because it's happening over time, it is much harder to show a camera and people to understand it immediately.
Climate change is the biggest environmental threat we as a civilization, we as a people, we as a planet have ever faced. And if we don't address it, that's it, game over.
Who are these people? Who are these people that appear to be on another layer of interpellation? And it's exactly that. Greenpeace is the independent organisation which is on a layer of governance that doesn't really exist.
This is a funny phenomena about Greenpeace, is that when you look back, it seems an obvious thing to do. When you start out, it looks impossible. Everybody says you're crazy, you're nuts, you can't do that. And then when you look back, it looks inevitable.
I was 23 when that happened. If you're people of that age now, you know, just do it. Just go and you know, take the risks. Be scared about doing it. Find some people to work with. Don't be afraid about making mistakes. Connect with what's really important in who you are and go change the world.